Hello, everybody. It is me, Darcy. It is him, Kris. I remembered your name this time.
Yes.
Podcast.
We are doing the podcast.
Welcome to our podcast. Where we sit here for a amount of time, generally undeterminate. We try for an hour. We really do. And generally we talk rubbish.
Yes.
If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're a long-time viewer, hello, Jaden.
Hello.
Yeah, so I guess we get started the way we always do by talking about
The channel
news.
We have a new subscriber.
We do. It's the number has gone up,
It has indeed.
which is always nice.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. Well, we do appreciate it. Stuff that came out this week. We had the
Rainbow Six
Rainbow Six Siege came out today.
and was it Mario?
And Mario Kart
Yes,
with
Mario Kart.
special guest.
Yes.
Very, very good videos, both of them.
Yes.
And I'm not just saying that because I have a stake in it.
Oh, you do. Yes.
Yeah, the Mario Kart wasn't too bad, and yeah, Siege was very upsetting, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Okay.
Check out that video for me getting really angry. I get so angry with my team at one point.
Oh yeah, that sounds
but there is also, when I get angry at my team, there's like a silver lining, which is the guy I'm playing with, who is just the world's most optimistic guy.
Okay.
So check out that video. Otherwise, in channel news, Kris, have you done any filming? Practice filming, even?
Sweet. You're setting me up on this one. I will be starting tomorrow. It is a definitive tomorrow. The practice film is getting done. Then I shall check it out after that to see how it's run.
It was definitive last week.
It wasn't definitive last week.
You did say it last week.
I did mention it last week, yeah.
Yes.
But definitely, when I wake up tomorrow, it will be doing a session.
Unless you wake up late and have to go straight to work.
No, I will be setting an alarm. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to set an alarm.
Otherwise, channel news, everything's kind of the same. Patreon is kind of sitting in the background doing nothing because I haven't really decided anything yet. Lots to do with that, just nothing at the moment. I am also looking at starting a Discord for the channel.
Oh, yes. That should be good.
Which will be a more direct way, as both me and Kris can have access to that and check it more regularly than we check everything else. So it'll be a good way for ideas to, that people want to see coming into the channel.
Definitely
very nice. Very nice thing to do, and kind of, a way for us to kind of put out information to people who care.
Yeah.
What else is going on channel news-wise? Kris, anything you can think of? I don't think there's a lot on channel news this week because, other than like what I've been working on, which is always kind of the same, editing videos, making videos.
That's true.
We do have, over the next week or so, we'll start filming for Halloween. Yes. Which, if you've a long-time fan of the channel, you'll know that for Halloween we do an entire week of just video drops.
Yes.
Have them all. That's a rough one for me. I'm not going to lie.
Yes. I can
unless
imagine.
I am prepared, like overly prepared, which...
The first time we've in the slightest.
The first, I'm never prepared.
No, but it was even worse the first time.
It was very... Well, you know what probably made it really bad?
I don't know why I keep saying first time. There's only been once. But
the only time we've done it, probably what made it worse is we'd been a channel for about a whole 2 weeks when we decided that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
So, that was a rough one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it was a bit more than 2 weeks.
So, I think I've got written down stuff that we've got to do, but,
Cool.
the classic Halloween game, so probably some
Most likely some Phasmo, yeah.
Which I haven't played since they've wiped everyone's stuff, so that'll be good fun for me.
It will. I think I have one thing that you want. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't think there's really... Well, there's a few other things that we've got coming for Halloween, but... nothing that I can remember off the top of my head. Pretty much spooky, scary games. So we hope you enjoy that, and probably a spooky, scary podcast.
Oh, Yes. We're going to have the red lights again.
Probably not. No. Yeah, I think that just about covers channel news. In the works, we've got a few videos we filmed with our special guest Jaden, who was here with us he's still technically with us. He hasn't died yet, but
yes.
We've got a few videos with him coming out over the next week, and the start of my Spyro stuff, which is good fun.
Oh yes, you've started.
Yeah. So that'll be probably next week's video. One of them at least will probably be the Spyro.
Yes, and hopefully by next week I can start even editing some Spider-Man.
Geez, what else? No, I think that's just. I really do think that about covers that. So, I guess we'll just move along.
Yes.
So, Kris, I know that you've always got your finger to the pulse of news.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
I was reading an article the other day.
Okay, yes.
Because that's what I do when I read a lot of articles on lots of different things.
Yes.
Football, sports in general.
I don't.
Video games.
I do that one.
There's a really weird one that I
I've got anime stuff that shows up for me.
Oh, dude, I get everything because I'm actually I may not seem it, but I actually do care about some things.
Well, yes.
But more it's about seeing what we fucked up this time.
Pretty much.
It's generally a lot.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I was reading this article, and it's like the KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
Never heard. That video game remake that I've been very excited about because I love KOTOR. I love all of the KOTOR stuff.
Heard a lot about it.
Even the Old Republic, which technically isn't KOTOR, but sort of is in that time or around. It's about 300 years after that time period.
Fair enough.
All really good games. KOTOR 2 was my first one, actually. Because it was the first one. Well, it was on the Xbox, and I was literally... I saw it when it came out. I was like, Star Wars. Awesome.
Good choice.
And that is notoriously the not finished one.
Oh, yes.
Because... I think, I could be wrong about this, but the story goes KOTOR 2 literally came out like 1 year, so 12 months after the first one, because the first one was such a big success, they'll like, do it again. Here's your time frame. It uses all of the same kind of models and resources. You've got to reuse them.
Well, yes, of course.
But then, a lot of stuff had to be cut out because they just did not have time.
Oh, okay.
Which is always upsetting with games.
It is.
But particularly upsetting with what is widely considered one of the best Star Wars games, one of the best RPGs of all time.
Yes.
And its sequel being quickly rush it, get it out there because we can make a lot of money on this, instead of being we have literally made one of the best games ever. Let's make a really good follow-up.
Which would have been nice.
Take a couple of years.
Yeah.
But
I don't
the
think
remake,
the fans would have cared about that.
No. However, a lot of the stuff has been re-added because the fans have found it. They've found it in the game and finished it off. So,
nice. Yes.
As of now, there's many mods out there for Knights of the Old Republic 2 that finish the game.
Okay.
Add stuff that was originally cut for not being able to for time not being there and all this kind of stuff.
Solid.
So we were hoping that because they were kind of vague about everything with this remake, they were it's a Knights of the Old Republic remake. And it was is that Knights of the Old Republic, or is it a Knights of the Old Republic? Is it both of them? Considering that a lot of people kind of consider the second game to be almost an expansion to the first game.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah. Yep.
And they were and if it is both games, are we getting all of the games? You've got the idea, you've finished, it's been finished by are we getting all of that? And not a lot was said about that.
Okay.
But then again, not a lot needed to be said because pretty much the fact that they just said we're going to make KOTOR and we're going to make it look amazing,
sweet,
was enough for most people.
Nice.
Now, as I said back when I first found out about this, there was a few things that could have been altered to make the game a little bit more.
Okay. Yes.
More for the modern era. The turn-based, like, I know a lot of people are fans of turn-based, but like, to make it feel a little bit more Star Warsy, removing the turn-based and having a more free-flowing combat would be good.
Yes.
However, by no means is it a turn-off if they didn't, because the fact that we'd be getting Knights of the Old Republic to look modern, because remember this is like a game that came out for the original Xbox, the sequel.
No, I can understand that. Yeah.
She's a bit dated, and no matter how good your mods are, you can't really upgrade polygonal models to be modern. Yeah. No matter how good your texturing you do.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It might be the first time I play the game then.
Well, about 4 months ago now, maybe. We started hearing some troubling news, which is always bad for a remake.
Yes.
Because you don't have to do a lot to sell a remake.
No.
You just kind of have to make it look nicer, polish a few things.
Yeah.
Add some more polygons.
Of course.
And it already has a pre-baked fan base that are willing to buy it from day one.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know, so, and, you know, God forbid actually adding any bugs to it, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
How did you break something from the original game?
Oh, yes.
But yeah, so literally like 2 days ago, I was reading a thing that's like, hey, this remake of KOTOR might not be happening.
Oh.
Now that was like, ooh.
Okay.
Someone in the gaming media's confirming that there's trouble with this game. But, you know, as someone who actually gives a fuck about this kind of stuff, I've been following it pretty much like whenever there's news about it.
Okay.
There hasn't been news about it for 3 months. Like, not even a peak. Not even someone being like, yeah, we're still going.
Okay.
We're still working. And I believe that, like, the last piece of news was like, we're looking for some people to work on it. And it's like, ooh, that's a bad sign.
That's not great.
So, yeah, this thing came out. It's like, oh, it might not be happening. It's like, you call yourself a games journalist. You're literally saying what everyone who has ever heard of this game at this point is thinking.
Yeah.
Because we're all sitting there going, we haven't heard any news about it.
It's probably not happening.
You know?
Yeah.
You would think, with all the shit going down around Star Wars, you would, like, the owners of Star Wars, LucasArts, would be putting out anything they can to have a win.
And this would be one of the biggest wins. This
would be the epitome of winning.
Oh, yes.
Hey, by the way, we know you hate everything we're doing, but here's Knights of the Old Republic. I guarantee you that would, like, just sate people.
Oh, of course.
But, so, yeah, they pretty much come out and be like, oh, it's probably not going to happen. And, like, anyone who's been paying any attention to it, it's like, yeah, we're pretty sure this has been what's happening. Like, they didn't come out and say, oh, it's not happening. They just were like, oh, it's pretty sure. And we're like...
Pretty sure it's not happening. Just, how about you back it up with some facts next time?
So, like, unless you are coming out to say it's 100% not happening, or it's 100% happening, you're not giving anyone any new information.
So what I'm hearing now is journalists aren't doing journalism. And not actually researching.
Journalists haven't been doing journalism for a very long time.
I mean, some have.
Because it's all about clickbait these days.
Yeah,
and it's like... Yeah. The title was Knights of the Old Republic Remake.
Which would have had heaps of people.
Which is just clickbait because people are going, news about it.
News. Might not be happening.
The news was pretty much, we still haven't heard any news about it, and it's like...
waste of time that was.
Thank you. But yeah, so I was just... that was kind of annoying to me because I was just like, you've pretty much come out and been like, hey, remember that thing you haven't heard any information about? Yes? Yeah, neither have we.
Perfect.
What the fuck do I do with that?
Nice.
Yeah, man. But, you know. I don't know. I really think it's needed because, like,
Oh,
you think
yeah.
about it, by the time that this game would be ready, which would be in about 2 to 3 years,
Yeah, I would assume so.
pretty much Jedi Survivor
Yes.
would have. It's not going to fall out of relevancy because I
No.
hear it's still it's almost as good as
First one?
the first one, and I
Okay,
say
cool.
almost as good because I hear it still has quite a few problems.
Okay,
Buggy
okay,
problems.
yes.
Which isn't good because you don't want a game that did as well as Fallen Order,
Yes.
to be followed up with a game that's like, we kind of phoned it in.
Okay.
Especially when you're like sitting there going, you can't be affording to phone these things in, guys.
Hell no.
You need you need to be good all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know. It's
It'd be
one of
great
those.
if they did, because it brings it out to people. Like, I've never played it, so it definitely brings it out to fans that were fans back then, but never really were into gaming back then, but now are. So it actually will
It's a rough
have a
one.
boost. But
I fully agree with you because it'll bring in new fans because a lot of people go, "Oh, I hear this is one of the best games ever made. It looks bad. I don't want to play it."
then that stops. A lot of
It's kind of like why I've never gone back and played Final Fantasy VII, even though I'm fairly sure I would at least have an okay time with it. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of turn-based battles, and Final Fantasy VII is massive turn-based battles.
remake isn't actually a direct remake; it's a retelling.
Reimagining.
Yeah.
Whereas I will play that. I'm kind of sitting here going, do I just buy it on the PC? Because I have it on the
fair,
PlayStation, but I'm kind of like,
Well, it's the only place I've played it.
well, my thoughts right now, I'm at the moment not getting a PlayStation 5
Yes.
because all the games that I want to play on PlayStation 5 are being brought to PC. And I go, that's kind of a windfall for me.
Yeah.
I still want to get an Xbox Series, whatever they call it now.
X.
Yes.
It is a Series X. Yes.
But
Because that's my eventual plan, is to get one of them as well.
well,
but
I actually learned
still down
something
the track.
interesting about the Series X, right?
Okay.
I know this is a little bit off topic, but we'll come back to the games we're talking about.
Yeah.
The Series X isn't really... Okay, so when... You know how, like, a lot of the stuff people have been complaining about the new Xboxes is that the X, being
Yeah.
the most powerful system ever made,
Yes.
is limited because games have to be playable on the S.
True.
So they're
yeah.
bringing games down so that the S can play it.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought they were doing similar to what the PS5 was doing, just having two versions of it.
no, it's
Okay.
been that this is an actual thing.
Okay.
But Microsoft, I can't remember who I heard this off, but Microsoft kind of cleared that up and were like, now it's not excusable, but they were kind of like, yeah, so the Series X is really just the Pro version of the Series S.
I mean, I
So-
kind of half expected that anyway.
Well, I think that cleared up a bit of it because a lot of people were like, the Series X, they should just be making games and forget about the Series S. But like with Microsoft coming in and saying that, it's kind of like, the Series S is actually the new Xbox.
Yes.
The Series X
Is
is the Pro
is
version
the
that would have
step
been
up,
coming
yeah.
out about now-ish because,
True.
hey, we've made a better version, but they just won't
Just release
Make
it at
it
the same
now.
time, yeah.
put it out there. That's the Pro version.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting around being like, is there going to be a Pro version? They're like, yeah, it's right there.
There you
We're
go.
releasing them at the same time.
That way you've got the choice straight away and you don't have to buy
So I just
one
found that
and
funny
then
because it's
another
kind of
later.
like
Yeah.
all of the people have been complaining that, oh, well, you know, the X is being held back by the S. And it's like, yeah, because if the way we see it, this is the actual Xbox for this generation and this is its Pro version. This is the version that's, you know,
Yeah. No, I get that.
better and usually comes out halfway through the life system, but doesn't life cycle of the system that's more powerful, but is still held back because you've got to make games for the original system. So, you know, and
Yeah, makes sense. Like, I'll definitely be getting the X
Yeah.
when I get around to it. It's still ages away,
but yeah, well, again, I'm kind of the same. I'm kind of like, I'll get the X eventually.
Yeah.
Mainly because I'm just like, I don't need it right now. But actually, I'll probably have it by the start of 2024 because my whole thing is like the start of this year you didn't need it.
Yeah.
We're now at the point where it's like, oh, you want to play the new games?
Yeah, you need it.
You need it. And
See,
you go, okay, fair enough.
See, my thing is I'll probably be looking more towards end of 2024 at the earliest. Mainly because I'm using my laptop a lot more and I can get a lot of the newer games there as well. And I've also got the PS5 to worst case scenario.
Interesting thing about 2024.
Yes.
That is when Switch support is going to stop.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's the end of 2024, start of 2025, or like midway through 2024. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But apparently, now I say apparently because this seems a little bit odd to say.
Yes.
That all support for this is going to stop.
I haven't heard any of it.
Being confirmed that support for their Switch is going to stop.
Would that not now tell us that there is definitely a new console?
Because of their new console.
Because currently it's still only speculation.
Hasn't been announced. It's like, okay, well, hang on. If they've announced that they're going to stop support for this console without announcing they've got a second console, I want you to check the person you're getting this information off. Because that's kind of like saying, oh yeah, this guy on Nintendo came out and said, oh yeah, we're not doing this anymore. We're not supporting the Switch anymore. It's like, oh sweet, I'm gonna write that down. And then the person writing it down never went. Well, I guess they kind of went for the expected second generation of the Switch or the next console of the Switch's breed.
Yes.
But it hasn't been confirmed yet, and I'm like, that's kind of a big thing for me to be like. Well, yeah, we know that this is going to be happening in the next year and a half, really.
It's a bit soon from, like, even if they release the new console next year, it's still very quick to stop support.
I think a lot of people are actually speculating that we are going to be hearing about the new Switch in November for Christmas release.
Okay, well that's pretty quick.
Jeez. I think that's kind of the thing. A lot of people are expecting them to be like, hey, here's the new system. You can literally buy it now.
But even having said that, like end of next year is still quite quick. I can't think of another console that's ever, or even through what Switch Nintendo's done.
Yeah.
I can't think of one they've stopped supporting that quick.
No, that's just what I read. But as I said, I was a little bit suspicious because I was kind of like, they haven't announced.
Actually, maybe the Wii U. Wii U didn't do that.
Yeah, but again, the Wii U had its own problems. Like it would be kind of the same as them coming out with the Switch 2, which is what everyone's dubbing it. Yeah. You can't. I think Nintendo know better than to do that because people literally thought the Wii U was just an addition to the Wii. They didn't actually, like, a lot of people didn't realize it was a whole new console. Coming out with the Switch 2, people are going to be like, oh, well, why don't I get the Switch 2 and I can just get a normal Switch?
Yeah, so you've really got to change your name on that one.
You've got to, I don't know, because, I guess the same thing is with, PlayStation, right? They've used numbers, but they've always used numbers.
So you know that it's always the next generation. Whereas with Nintendo, they had the DS.
Though they changed names.
They kept the Nintendo DS name for a few generations. But stop support for the earlier one.
I don't even really care about the DS.
Oh no, I'm just using.
I find the DS. The DS is a handheld for casuals. You think about the NES, then the SNES, then the Nintendo 64,
and they've always used different names in that aspect.
The GameCube, then the Wii, then their biggest failure ever, the Wii U. Yeah, because
then they updated to the Switch, but. Yeah, I was going down the track.
That
would make sense that everybody in that aspect. Yes, it makes sense.
Although as I said, it kind of depends because I think people are a little bit more savvy now. But it could. I don't know. I just don't think the Switch 2 would be what they would call it.
I don't think so.
And I don't think that's Nintendo's way of doing it because for about because the Switch is pretty old now. It's over 10 years old, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Shit. I didn't know it was that old. Jeez.
I'll Google that, but.
I don't think it came out the year in 2013, did it? Could have sworn it was a couple of years after that, because that's the year I finished school, and I don't recall it coming out that year.
Oh, 2017. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah. So it's almost 7 years old.
Yeah, almost.
Which is the average life length of a console.
Yeah.
But Anyway, Nintendo do things weird, but again, I just don't think that. Yeah, I just don't think that it's a thing where they're going to be.
It'd be a poor choice of like the name. Like as I said, unless they go down the track they did with like the DS.
Even then, I don't think that's
because like I know they definitely stopped supporting the earlier ones. That's for sure, and then updated because they ended up going through a couple of different names there, but all had the DS name in it. But no, I do.
I don't even because technically speaking,
I mean, they kind of already have
even
to
the
be honest,
most modern
with the Switch Lite, because you had the DS and the DS Lite. And then
but that's a different thing, right? I have talked about this to people because they're like, oh yeah, but the Switch Lite is, for all intensive purposes, the handheld version of the Switch. It's not a different system.
Oh yeah, I know
it's
that.
The same building blocks. It's everything.
Yeah.
It is just the handheld only.
Yeah, you just can't plug it into your TV. No, I do get that.
I'm not even
100%
sure if that's entirely true. Because all you would need to plug it in is a C to HDMI cable.
Yeah, oh, true, yeah.
And I'm sure it still... I haven't looked at it light, but I'm sure it uses a USB-C to charger. It's just, it doesn't interact with the dock.
I'd have to have a look. I think Violet has a line, so I might be able to have a look at that.
Like, my understanding of it was that it is just a slimmed down version that they don't sell with a dock, they don't sell with removable hand pieces. It's the handheld only version.
Which is what I've always known it to be.
Now, they also didn't do a Switch Pro, which everyone was expecting them to have dropped in like 2021.
True.
Like everyone was like, oh, it won't be long till you get the Switch Pro that's more powerful, and I just don't think that's Nintendo's style.
No.
But so it's possible that we'll hear something in the coming weeks about the new system.
Yeah.
But it's also entirely possible that we won't, because Nintendo aren't Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah, they don't announce everything.
Well, not only do they not announce things, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they've got to update the Switch soon because people are getting upset with the graphics. But again, I don't think anyone's picking up a Switch and going like, oh, this is going to have the best groundbreaking. It's a handheld console.
It is.
It's you can't have...
It was never meant to be as powerful as any other console.
Let's have a look at my PC for an instance, right? My Switch is smaller than the cooling system for my CPU.
It's true, yes.
What do you expect from it?
No.
You can't expect that much. The only way that we will see a massive leap forwards in Switch graphics is if they take away the handheld aspect of it.
Yes. At which point, if you do that,
see them doing that.
Well, even if they did
Switch
do that, you can't.
Massive.
At which point, you then can't go down the track of stopping support to it because people still want the handheld side of things. So
that's kind of the whole point of the Switch and where its massive success came from.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's Nintendo. Nintendo were going to sell bank no matter what because they own so many game franchises that people love.
That is true.
You've got Mario, you've got Zelda, you've got Mario Kart, everything, all of that, right? Nintendo own that. They have a new console. They're releasing new games. People will buy that console.
Well, they're releasing a new Mario game coming soon, anyway.
Exactly.
So that would probably.
As I said, I'm kind of skeptical about this because I haven't heard a release. So for them to come out and be like, "Oh, they're going to stop support in a year," I'm kind of like, it's pretty fast. However,
ridiculously fast.
It could be, it could be that in a year, people aren't going to be making Switch games anymore because. Maybe. After a year, if the new one gets announced this year, they'll all move on to the new development software.
True.
But I don't know, and I don't really care. I'm just here speculating and saying, I don't think Nintendo would.
Well, we'll find out for sure in the coming months if any of this is actually true.
But I just thought it was interesting. I thought I'd get your take on it because, as I said, people like one of the biggest complaints about Tears of the Kingdom. That don't come from me because I have other complaints about Tears of the Kingdom. Yes. But is that it looks like Breath of the Wild.
I didn't expect much more than that.
And with the something like 4 or 5 years in between them,
something like that. Yeah,
it should look better. And it's like, but you're not on a console that's The limiting factor here isn't the graphics that you can do, it's the console itself.
Yeah.
As I said, my entire Switch is smaller than the radiator for my CPU's cooler. What do you expect from it?
Oh yeah, no, I did.
I guarantee you my graphics card is bigger than my Switch. Because they are. They really are. You want the best graphics, you've got to have big, beefy, cooling graphics cards.
Yeah. Having said that, it's when a lot of people were saying that as a complaint for it, it's... I don't know, I myself never expected it to look any different to Breath of the Wild because there wasn't really any change with anything.
Was there a reason to change?
No, I think, really wasn't.
I think that's something that, again, I think I have a different opinion of Nintendo than a lot of people. A lot of people seem to go, yeah, but Nintendo make games. The whole thing with games is that, you're always chasing the better graphics. I don't think Nintendo actually do.
No,
Nintendo kind of get themselves into a niche.
I think when they go to upgrade and go to a new console, that's it. Yes, they upgrade them, but generally
they go
when they're at the same console range, they don't really change anything.
Well, I've always seen it like this, right? Breath of the Wild was as good as it could look for its system.
Yes,
because you think about Breath of the Wild, it came out in 2017.
Yes.
What else came out in 2017? Games that looked way more photorealistic.
Well, yes.
But you couldn't play those games on the Switch.
Oh, hell no.
Because it's not powerful enough. So why were they expecting
any different?
From...
Console didn't change. The light,
no.
If anything, the light wasn't as good. So it's... what? I don't know why you would expect any different.
That's a lot of people's complaint. And I'm like, but, okay, why would they? I've always seen Nintendo as someone who's kind of a little bit behind the game.
Yeah.
And also doesn't give a fuck about what you think.
If you want to play...
They're not Call of Duty. They're not being like, hey, the reason you're buying this one this year is because it looks slightly better.
No.
They're going, no, the reason you're buying the new Zelda game is it's the new fucking Zelda game.
Yes.
Slap you, take my money.
If you don't like the graphics,
you're
going to buy it anyway.
Oh, you don't like it? Then don't fucking play Zelda. Oh, but I want to play Zelda. Then fucking give me your money.
That's it.
We're not Call of Duty. We're not putting out a game every year and being like, well, we've slightly updated it. No, they're just in there going, you're going to buy it because you want it. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Anyway, I just thought I'd get your opinion on that because I was like, I found it highly suspect as well.
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
So taking us back to what we were talking about before that tangent, the reason I haven't played Final Fantasy VII ever, is one, I'm not the biggest fan of turn-based combat. That being said, that's changed a bit. I'm playing more games with turn-based combat. It's just a very different type of turn-based combat. As I've said over and over again, I've been playing so much Baldur's Gate since it came out. Yeah. That has turn-based combat. However, the turn-based combat in Final Fantasy VII, the original, is slow. Very slow.
True, yes.
And arduous. And I can't really take that.
No.
I can't.
I agree. That makes...
The other issue is the graphics. 100% the graphics, because it looks like a game that came out not long after I was born. And unfortunately, games didn't look great back then.
No.
I get it if you when you first got it and you were like, holy crap, this looks real.
It did make sense.
Because it's kind of like a dog about Spyro, right?
Yeah.
When the Reignited trilogy came out, I was like, fucking, this is exactly how I remember it.
But you go back and play
you look at the graphical differences and you go, oh shit, yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Spyro used to be 4 fucking polygons.
See, I didn't have to go back and look for it, mainly because I ended up playing the original a couple of months before the trilogy came out. And to be honest, I was playing that, and my thought process, purely because of the way they did it, I think that it still held up quite well. The controls are a little clunky, but what would you expect from back then? It makes sense, but I felt that it still held up. It's not like when I went back to other games prior to that where I just couldn't play them because I was like, you know what? No, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas that one, I could play through the entire thing.
Look, as I said, like the rose tinted glass, the people who go like, oh no, it doesn't look that bad. It's like in reality, it does. As I said, like for me, it was the Spyro thing. Yeah. Spyro, the new Spyro looked exactly how I always remembered the old one looking.
Yes.
But actually comparing the two together, you go, oh no.
Yeah. No. They are very different, but as
this Spyro has as many polygons in his fucking claws as the old one had in his entire being.
Yes.
So, probably, it is the difference. But again, as we said, because things looked worse back then, the better looking things of the worst things was considered enough.
Yes.
But now, we get more. So that's why I'm not really the biggest detractor from re-releasing games, remaking games. I know a lot of people go, oh, well,
as long as you stay true to it. Like, if you remake it, stay true to it. Don't change everything about it.
Exactly.
Because as I said, like, I've probably mentioned it before, the Ratchet and Clank.
Yep.
I didn't like the remake for it. I'm not calling it... Well, sorry, let's call it a reimagine. It wasn't a remake. It was reimagined, and...
Yep.
I mean, I get why they did what they did, because it sort of leads into knowing a bit more in the second game of the original series, only because of Dr. Nefarious, but that's about it.
Doesn't it?
But
have
otherwise,
to
it was
do with the movie.
Yes, they tied it in with the movie as well, but there was a massive change to the actual game.
Yeah.
One, they took out a bunch of planets, so there was less to do, and
that's never a good thing.
And they also made it a lot easier to go through. It was
But here's my simple belief on remakes, right? If you're gonna do it respectfully, go for it. If you're if you want to add some stuff to it, because I know from my own game, like personal experience with video games, a lot of old games they were like, we wanted to do this, but we couldn't at the time. Now doing this is a piece of piss.
Yeah.
So we've remade in our re-release of the game, it's going to have this feature that we always wanted it to have, but it never had.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like Crash Bandicoot. When they took out, I can't remember if there was one mission or two missions in the first game. They took out one or two.
I'm less talking about missions, more talking about features.
They took it out because it was too hard to do with the controls, so they couldn't put it in because people just weren't able to finish it.
But
so they took it out and re-added.
Missions are a different thing because you should always technically speaking, if you can put in stuff, more missions, then you should, and that's kind of what difficulty is. Difficulty is a thing, but I'm talking about features that literally to do back in the day would have taken too much. You think about some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Loading zones.
Yeah, true.
Loading zones, and this is something that I would love to see in a KOTOR remake, but the zones in KOTOR are really small.
Yes.
You could expand them, make them more realistic, more full of life.
Yes.
Because back when it was made, there wasn't that much memory. You did not PCs didn't have enough memory to store these fully loaded areas, whereas now we take giant loaded areas for granted.
Yes.
That's an actual constraint that they never they had to plan around.
True.
So anyway, my thing is I would have loved to see the remake of KOTOR because there would have just been so many nice quality of life changes.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see some more elements come into it that they couldn't really do back then. One of the big things was item customization. You could change parts in your gear.
Okay. Yeah.
But because of the time, it didn't change the gear. I would have loved to see it you put a different emitter on your lightsaber, and it actually changes the look of the lightsaber, so it's something more unique to you.
Yeah, that'd be
of course, that didn't happen in the old one because it couldn't. Well, they couldn't change anything. The models were the models, whereas now with the way that you model, you could easily change it.
You've only got to look at. You could have Survivor and Fallen Order.
Exactly.
You made a change and it changed.
Exactly.
The entire time.
But yeah, back then, the lightsaber model was one piece.
Yes.
It wasn't a modular model because that's too much.
Oh yeah.
You know, or for a lightsaber, you want 6 or 7 different polygon models. That's going to take so much memory. So it was no. It's just one group of It's just one polygon. So changing stuff you couldn't do. Like you couldn't even change its color.
Yeah.
Or like be like, oh yeah, I want the emitter to be this color and the rest of it to be this color. No, none of that. It was just you could change the parts in it, which changes its effects, but didn't do anything else. And it's like, you know, I would have loved to see some kind of like Fallen Order, like Survivor, lightsaber customization for the Old Republic, for Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
Because that's kind of one of my favorite things about the Star Wars games.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing better than like kind of having your own lightsaber.
That's true.
Kind of customized lightsaber. So it's like, oh, I want it to kind of look like this. I want to, you know, it's just an element where you can kind of diversify and make things reflect
a little bit more unique in your game. I'm not going to say unique in general because with the limitations they'll put in, it's going to be replicated many times.
But again, you know, like that's one of the things where it's like the modding community comes in and saves the day.
True.
But yeah, so I just got kind of annoyed when I saw a story about it, and the story was like, "Hey, we still haven't heard anything." Because I was like, "Are you absolutely fucking having a laugh?"
Yes, I think they are, to be honest.
Don't write a news story that's like, "Hey, there's no new news," which is probably a bad thing because everyone who actually cares has already thought that.
Yes. And your current news was a massive waste of fucking time.
Fucking struggling. There we go.
Yes. Well,
you know,
fair. What's next on the agenda?
I'm just kind of looking at stuff. I kind of have another Star Wars things to kind of complain about.
Okay.
Just because I was watching something on YouTube the other day.
Yes.
And there's a few things about Star Wars that always annoy me because people are always like, oh yeah, but technically this and that. So this one was about the exhaust port on the Death Star.
Yes.
So pretty much I was comparing it to the Family Guy one.
Yeah.
Where it's like, where like literally in the Family Guy one, someone goes like, oh yeah, the architect decided to put an exhaust port for aesthetic reasons. Yeah, and then like they're like, and if you actually look at Rogue One, Galen Erso, he's the guy who designed the Death Star, right?
Yeah,
in Rogue One,
I think so.
So like he put the exhaust port as a weakness, and every time I see someone like bring up the fact that this 2-meter exhaust port in the fucking Death Star was like, oh, why did they let it happen? And it's like, motherfucker, do you understand exhaust ports?
No, they don't, clearly.
There's this really good, I think it was done by Dorkley.
Okay, yes.
Or someone like that. And it's like a little, like, pixel animated thing, and it's called, like, the Death Star Architect. And it's like him sitting there being like it's like this old guy standing in front of, like, all of these Imperials, and he's being like, okay, so first, we're going to talk about this, right? This is a moon-sized fucking space station, and I managed to get its only exhaust port down to 2 meters in size.
Which is really good.
And he's like, that's a fucking thing. That's an exciting thing, because all of the exhaust from this space station, all of the heat it generates, is coming out of this tiny little hole compared to the size of the station.
And let's face it, you wouldn't want
And then he goes, but I'm sorry that I didn't expect fucking space wizards.
Well, true, yes.
Because if you understand anything about exhaust, you would understand that there's actually changes in temperature coming out of there, not sucking things in. So you can't just shoot a missile and hope it gets sucked in. It would actually push out, so you'd have to be a fucking space wizard to make the missile do a 90-degree motherfucking corner. And he's like going into this whole thing. I'm like, yes, finally. Yeah. Someone actually looked at it and was like, no, this isn't a flaw. No. This is something that's motherfucking necessary.
It is.
And that's not how exhaust ports work.
And let's face it, you probably wouldn't want to be anywhere near that exhaust port either.
No.
But, you know. Unless you want your face melted off.
It's just something that I always love, because it's like you got these like nerds, Star Wars nerds, which I am one of. But they're like, oh no, the Death Star just shouldn't. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What did you expect to happen?
It's like, what do you mean it shouldn't have had an exhaust port? It's got a giant motherfucking reactor. That stuff needs to vent heat. You don't. It has a reactor right in the middle of it. That's got to get rid of its heat. Otherwise, you know what you have? An oven.
Yes.
It's like...
But you can never set foot in again because
like,
it's just going to increase that heat.
And like, this is the other thing you've got to remember about Star Wars. Other people shot at the exhaust port and missed. The missile got like thrown off course and shit because of the exhaust. The only person who did do it was Luke.
The Space Wizard.
The Space Wizard.
Well, the Space Wizard is in training, but either way, Space Wizard.
And for anyone who's like, oh yeah, but like all the Force did was help him guide, like get him on target. No. Because Obi-Wan literally goes, get rid of the computer, use the Force. I always imply from that he's actually using the Force to guide the missile.
Yes.
He's gone, I'm not going to target. Because that's what he's done. He's literally taken away his targeting system that would give the missile where it's going. I mean, like, I don't need that. Boom. Fucking sink it, son.
Nope.
So there's that.
Oh, yeah.
Another Star Wars thing that people always talk about and like, this doesn't make sense. And the people who talk about it are generally like sword fighting people. Like they do a bit of sword fighting. Like I'm not going to say that they're just sword fighters. That they practice the art of sword fighting.
Yes.
And they always talk about the Obi-Wan Anakin fight.
Okay. Yes.
The high ground argument.
Yes.
And if you know anything about
I've seen
me
a few
and Kris,
things on it. Yes.
you know that I love the high ground argument.
Yes.
Mainly because I think it's one of the funniest things ever, and I love all the memes that come from the high ground.
Yes.
However, all right, everyone always looks at it as like, oh, actually, in a sword fight, the high ground isn't the best place to have because they can chop at more of you, and you can chop at less of them if they're running up a hill. I'm like, okay, yes, in the world that we live in, that's true. However, I've yet to see any sword fighting HEMA expert do a fucking flip over, several meters in the air, land behind someone, and then attack them. True. So we can't really use real world dynamics for this.
No, not really.
But, whether or not that changes the fact that the high ground is advantageous or disadvantage, I don't think actually matters. Because I think a lot of people overlook one really important fact when Obi-Wan says, "It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground." It's not a generalized statement. Everyone thinks of it as a generalized statement. Well, having the high ground in a fight means you have the advantage. No, it doesn't. No. But in the specific situation where Anakin and Obi-Wan are in, where the high ground is here and the low ground is a literal river of lava, I think there's an advantage there.
There's a massive advantage. And then the next thing, having the high ground with someone flipping over the top of you
does help.
It kind of opens up the entire body.
But yes, so like there's arguments that can be had about this whole thing where it's like, oh yeah, but if Anakin had just jumped over here, it's like he could have, but he was kind of like Obi-Wan taunted him into trying to show his power. He underestimated his power. And as a very good YouTube panel once said, if someone underestimates your power, don't tell them that they're underestimating your power.
No, yes, you don't.
Because they'll re-estimate your power.
Yeah, well, yes.
But yeah, no, I always get annoyed because everyone takes that moment and goes, well, technically speaking, if you have the high ground, you have no advantage over someone attacking uphill. And it's like, what about we take the away generalization, and I say to you, okay, I'm going to stand here on the high ground. You charge up the hill at me. By the way, down there is lava. So hot lava that even being near it will cause you to combust and become a flamesicle.
Yes.
Because Anakin never actually touches the lava. When he rolls down, it's just him being close to it sets him on fire.
Yes. Indeed it is.
That kind of seems like not having the high ground is a bad situation.
Oh, it is.
Stop looking at that argument and being like...
You need to get away from that spot.
Stop being like, yeah, but the high ground's not advantageous in general use. And be like, yeah, but motherfucker, in this specific use, is the high ground an advantage? Yes. Oh, yeah, it is. Because if you're on the low ground, you're going to spontaneously combust.
It's just that we've gone far enough that we've made memes of it and all that, which are hilarious, as we've stated.
I love it. It's just that...
That's causing... I think that's helping with the
generalization.
The generalization of it.
And that's all it is. It is people being like, oh yeah, but generally. We're not talking about generally. I'm asking you, in this specific situation, is the high ground advantageous? Yes? Then it is advantageous to have the motherfucking high ground.
Yes.
And you could say, it's over, I'm not near... You know, if Obi-Wan had said, it's over, Anakin, I'm not near a river of lava anymore, would we all have the problem?
No, we wouldn't.
Okay, my last Star Wars point, because we always talk about Star Wars, but it's because I love it and it annoys me so much, but is just in general Grandmaster Luke.
Yes.
I am so upset with Disney.
Oh, yes.
The fact that they got rid of Grandmaster Luke, the fact that they now tried to add like several people who are, you know, supposed to be so good. And like the problem is this, right?
Yes.
Other than the Return of the Jedi, I don't think maybe The Empire Strikes Back had an okay lightsaber fight in it.
Yeah.
But it was nowhere near as dynamic as Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Return of the Jedi was almost completely overshadowed by all of the prequels.
Yes.
Now, whether you like it or not, you kind of have to agree that the prequels have much better lightsaber fights in them.
They do. They really do.
Than almost any other thing. And a lot of it comes down to, and I don't know what's changed, but I can tell you I saw something the other day.
Yes.
And it was just a video of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker, if you will. And it's just a bunch of compilations of him doing the flicks, the spin behind his back.
Yeah.
You know, his spinny do that everyone's like, it's not a good move in sword fighting, but it's like Anakin's signature move, because he does it all the time.
He does.
And it's Hayden Christensen just doing that. And it goes from the first time he ever did it, through all the things, through to like the Obi-Wan episodes where he's doing it, and then it's got like a bunch of behind the scenes things where he's doing it, and you're watching that and you go, yeah, no, he actually knew what he was doing with that lightsaber.
Let's face it, they were trained.
And you look at the Obi-Wan Anakin fight from Revenge of the Sith, one of the best fights in the whole of Star Wars, because it's fast, it's dynamic. There's a few bits and pieces, but the fighting is fast. So when something happens that is kind of dodgy, you can't see it that well because everything's moving really quickly.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that was like sped up or anything. Yeah, it might have been.
So I'm pretty sure Maul, whoever the guy playing Maul, he was trained. I don't think he was trained for the actual movie, but he did a lot behind the scenes because that's what he enjoyed doing. And then it just helped in this role.
But I think that was something that they all kind of did. Because, as I said, with stuff with Anakin and like the moves that he's doing them fluidly. He's actually like moving forwards as he's doing the spin and like going to different strikes. And you're looking at that and you go, that's someone who actually knows the choreography.
Oh, yes.
Then we compare it to things like Rey's throne room fight, where people's weapons had to disappear out of their hand because if it didn't, there's no reason they wouldn't kill her.
Yeah.
Then you've got like the Ahsoka fights, where the character of Ahsoka moves about as fast as Glacial Creep. A lot of what I've seen of Ahsoka, now I haven't watched the series because I don't care. I don't think Dave Filoni's that great. I really don't think the story's that good either. From like what I've read about the story and being like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Pretty much a lot of it I'm just like, this is not good. No. But I have seen a fight. I saw the Anakin Ahsoka fight, and boy, could you tell the difference between the skill of Christensen and the skill of Rosario Dawson. Rosario Dawson. I think it's Rosario Dawson. I can't remember her name. It's Rosario something. I know her. She's been in a lot of stuff. But I'm pretty sure that's who's playing Ahsoka. And like she does things like this, and then he's just kind of like, boop, 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 and you're like, oh, you shouldn't have put these two together because you can see the difference, and you're trying to tell us that she is this super skilled Jedi. It doesn't look good.
No.
So I'm not a big fan of Ahsoka, but I am a big fan of Star Wars. I always have been, and one of my favorite characters was Obi-Wan. Right?
That's fair.
Till I started getting into the Legends, and then I loved Obi-Wan still.
Yes.
I liked Anakin more because we didn't get to see a lot of him, but the more we see of Anakin, the more I'm like, I love this character. He's a great character.
Oh yeah.
But I also loved Grandmaster Luke, who was kind of like everything Anakin could have been.
True. Yeah.
To a lesser extent, like technically speaking, Anakin could have been much better than Grandmaster Luke.
Yes.
But because of the fact that he got like chopped down and turned into a flaming can by Obi-Wan, he was never able to fully achieve himself, whereas Luke did. Yeah. And like Grandmaster Luke is freaking awesome.
Oh,
the stuff that he achieves and just how like skilled he is awesome. And then we got Disney's old Luke Skywalker, and I was just like, oh, I hate this. And we got the same problem with Rey.
Don't get me wrong.
She couldn't fight with a lightsaber.
Not only did you hate the old Luke,
Luke hated the old Luke.
Luke hated the old Luke.
Mark Hamill. What a man.
I was trying to remember his name. Yes, Mark Hamill hated the character,
but like,
and he didn't hide that.
I just don't understand it. I'm like, is Disney just being like, oh yeah, the lightsaber fights aren't important, so we're not going to spend a lot of time getting you guys the choreography down. Don't worry about that. When it's like, the lightsaber fights are the epitome of Star Wars. They're the top tier of Star Wars.
Yeah,
like that's what makes Star Wars
Star
Wars.
We want a good story, but we also want really good lightsaber fights.
We want a good story. And we want the lightsaber fights to look spectacular.
Oh, yes.
We don't want to be sitting there going, okay, well, she should be dead. Yes. Like, she should be dead. Like in one of the Ahsoka fights where she literally pulls a lightsaber through herself because the lightsaber's over here, and then she's got it over here, and the action she does is pull back towards herself, rotate, and then bring it up.
Yeah.
We what is Disney doing that it can't train people how to fight with lightsabers? Is it just that they're going, it's really not a big issue?
Just with the amount of
you're
money
going to be
spending on these.
You're going to be playing this character for, 8 episodes of a TV show. Don't worry about learning how to do the one thing they're supposed to be good at.
But that's the funny thing. 8 episodes of a TV show that are about an hour long each. Which is, let me think about it. Initially, that was longer than Hayden Christensen was in the movie as well. But it's like far more screen time than him. But no, we don't need to train him. He was
only in 2 movies.
Yes, he was in 2 movies, and he was trained that well.
But again, like, and I don't know, because again, I didn't watch it because I refuse to watch pretty much anything that Disney releases, no matter how many people are like, but this could be what saves Star Wars. Because it's not. Not all the same people are in control.
No.
And are making the same fucking mistakes over and over and over again. But when Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen, so Anakin and Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, got back together for the Obi-Wan series, I was expecting good lightsaber fights.
Yes.
And I think the best one in the series was the training one, where it's like the flashback to them training.
Because it was actually the 2 of them fighting.
Yeah. Now, whereas all the other ones kind of has him in the suit and he's supposed to be Darth Vader, and I'll give him the credit. From what I've heard, he actually changes the way he fights as Darth Vader to be more of the Darth Vader, not the fancy flicking Anakin style, but the more, I'm just going to beat the shit down out of you. I have greater strength, that's what I'm going to use. Also, I have robotic legs, so I can't jump as high.
Well, yes.
Just figure that one out.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't have my Force legs anymore. But then because of the way they were telling the story, and Obi-Wan was supposed to be like, oh, I know my only job was to protect Luke, but what I've done instead is not.
No.
I'm not training in the Force, so I've cut myself off from it. I'm not working on my saber skills, so I've buried my lightsaber. I'm just not doing anything to protect Luke.
Other than trying to hide himself.
Other than trying to hide myself. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to hide myself. I'm like, that's one of the things that pisses me off.
Yeah.
He didn't go to Tatooine to hide himself.
No.
He went there to protect Luke.
Yeah.
That's literally why he's there.
Yeah.
It's his whole fucking deal. But yeah, so it's like, oh no, I'm gonna hide myself and do this and whatever. Okay, right, that's what he did. So, when he came back to fighting, he was no good at it. It's like, how the fuck was he supposed to protect Luke?
Yeah,
like,
if something happened...
That's my problem. It's not that the lightsaber fights weren't good, and they weren't, from what I've heard, or they were less good than they should have been for two people who literally spent like 6 or 7 years immersed in the world of Star Wars, learning how to fight with lightsabers, who put together one of the best lightsabers fights in the whole of Star Wars.
It's true.
It didn't live up to that standard. Now, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they've been out of it for a while. Maybe there was a bit of thing.
Yeah,
but I've also seen Hayden Christensen fighting again, and I'm like, he hasn't lost it.
No.
I'm like, do you think Ewan McGregor's lost it?
Well, see, then there's the next thing. How much
I doubt it.
Did Hayden Christensen do a lot beforehand?
Oh, he probably did. Him and Ewan McGregor probably did a lot of practice for it.
Oh yeah.
Because,
I mean, like over the years, like between now.
Oh yeah, but like
now,
even if they haven't done it in a while, I think with the amount of time that they spent doing it, it's one of those things where it's like getting back into the flow would be easier.
Yeah, true.
Even though they're a little bit older, so maybe a little bit stiffer now, but these are the types of things that we can see. If you've got the skill but you can't pull the moves off anymore, and you're playing an older character, that's great because your character's older. They're going to have aged. Their joints aren't going to be as flexible as they used to be. All of the things that would actually slow you down would actually be legitimately slowing your characters down.
Yes.
And as I said, I've seen Hayden Christensen's fight against Ahsoka, and I was like, no, he's still got it.
Yeah.
And I went, was it really that Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, didn't have it anymore? Now, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Because there's a few stories I've heard about Ewan McGregor on the original Star Warses.
Yeah.
Where he used to, when he was fighting, make lightsaber noises. Because he was enthralled in what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I don't think he's...
They had to edit all of that out.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't think he'd be the type to half-ass it.
No.
Like, even though I'm a lot of people are like, oh, he didn't want to come back for Obi-Wan. Okay, but I don't think he's the type to half-ass it.
Because he wasn't just making those sounds just as it'd be fun to make those sounds. He didn't know he was making the sounds half the time. Because I've seen the interview, and he's like, they asked me to stop, so I tried to stop, and then all of a sudden I started again. I had no idea. They had to cut it out.
Exactly. And, like, that's my thing. Like, I don't... even if he didn't really want to come back, and they were just like, hey, come back, and he was like, oh, I guess I'll come back. He doesn't seem like the type who would just be like, I'll come back, but I'm going to half-ass it.
No.
So I'm thinking that the terrible lightsaber fighting came from terrible choreography and terrible direction.
Yes.
So, that's one of my big issues.
And don't get me wrong, because I did watch Obi-Wan, and I watched all of it. It honestly did seem like Obi-Wan as a whole was a half-assed character in that, even though it was his show. And it's like, it just didn't seem like the storytelling did. It seemed like the storytelling did him dirty.
It doesn't surprise me because, he was one of the very, very popular characters from Star Wars.
Oh, yes.
And Disney's whole Star Wars thing has been destroy what people used to like about Star Wars.
Yep.
So, we have a whole series to destroy Obi-Wan, one of the most beloved characters in the series.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. But again, I just have the biggest problem with it because he was there to protect Luke.
Yes.
What was he there to protect Luke from? Like,
anyone who came to attack.
If you follow the actual logical story of Star Wars from number 3, when he takes him there and they're like, we've got to hide the kids, split them up so that they're less, sensible to the Empire.
Yes. Which
apparently worked because Leia could just walk in and out.
Yes.
Under the Emperor's nose, and he never picked up that she was a super powerful Force user.
Yeah, which wasn't really ever shown properly.
Well, it's one of those funny things where, because, like, obviously with the new ones, she's just as powerful as Luke, all of this, all of that. And she never really needed to train to be as much good as him. Like,
Yeah.
he did a little bit of training with her, and she was just great at it.
She pretty much just did it.
And I'm like, oh,
as
so,
a
okay,
subconscious thing.
yeah, we're retconning stuff to make another boss female, even though she was already a boss female without ever really using the Force.
That is true.
That's not good enough. We have to change it so that she was better than Luke, because he has a penis.
Yeah.
Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
But, like, I have a problem with that, because I'm like, the whole thing was that Leia could be trained in the Force, but much like Luke in the original, it wasn't just like, okay, man, you got the Force, away you go. No, just like, yeah, come on, man, fucking rip off, giant, fucking, yeah, pull a Star Destroyer out of space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've told you you've got the Force, so fucking just do it now. It was like, you've got to, even though you are so naturally gifted with the Force, you've got to train it.
You're Force sensitive, and extremely sensitive, but you still need
to be trained. Which made sense as to why Vader, who literally stood in the same room as Leia, never once picked up on the fact that she was Force sensitive. Because she had no idea, so therefore she wasn't tapping into it.
Yes.
And she would need training to become as powerful as she could become.
Yes.
Which, theoretically, is the same as Luke.
And it wasn't the first time she used it
twin
on
sister.
her deathbed anyway?
Technically, the first time she used it was actually when she was strangling Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, that's
She taps into the dark side of the Force.
Ah, that makes sense then. Okay, so the second
She doesn't really know she's using it, though.
Again, it seems to be just more of a subconscious thing.
Yeah, because I think this comes from a book, and it might be a Disney book, but I'm perfectly fine with that, because if you know anything about Hutts, you know that you can't just get behind him and be like, choke, choke, choke. No, you need something more.
Yeah.
And so, because of what was going on, she literally, like, subconsciously taps into the Force and, like, uses the Force to help her. Yeah. And I'm fine with that, because that makes sense. Yeah. However, what I really am not a fan of is being like, oh yeah, all she needed to do was find out she was Force sensitive and she's super. It's like, no, that's not how the Force works. Well, it's not how it worked with Luke. No. It's not how it worked with Anakin.
They both had to train.
Anakin thought spinning was a cool trick.
Yes, he did.
But yeah, so I've never liked the new stuff where it's like, oh no, once you find out you're Force sensitive, you're just super powerful. And if you're a Palpatine, you're super powerful. You're even more powerful than Luke. Why the fuck would she be more powerful than Luke? Oh, but she's a Palpatine. Right. Do you know why Palpatine wanted fucking Anakin? Because Anakin was 1 billion times more powerful than him.
Yes.
Literally, like, the only reason Anakin couldn't beat him was because he literally made Anakin weak to his preferred form of attack. He made the suit specifically weak to Force lightning. It wasn't that, everyone's weak to the Force lightning. No, Anakin's suit, Vader's suit, was specifically weak to Force lightning. Because he made it like that. Because he was like, well, this way I never have to worry about him killing me. Because if he tries, I can just electrocute him and kill him. The suit could have easily been made Force lightning resistant. That's why Vader never used Force lightning. Because he couldn't. His suit would just destroy itself.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. Because Vader at one point was making a suit that was resistant to Force lightning. He put some insulation in it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, he's doing this at the time of Return of the Jedi.
Okay, yeah.
Because his whole plan is for him to join up with Luke, kill the Emperor, and them to rule. Yes. To kill the Emperor, he needs his new suit. So he's actually making a new suit.
Yes.
And he just needed to transfer himself to it. But again, that might just be legend stuff. But there's all this fucking canon around it, or was canon around it, as to why Vader had never overthrown Palpatine. And a lot of it just comes down to the fact that at the start, at the very beginning, he just didn't give a fuck. Because he was all teenage moody about Padme's death.
Yes.
The second was because Palpatine literally built in a kill switch into him.
Yes.
Palpatine wasn't stronger than him. He knew he was weaker. He just arranged it so that he had an advantage. If he hadn't of been chopped down by Obi-Wan, chances are Palpatine would not have lasted long. No. Vader would have just wiped him out.
Yeah,
especially after the death of Padme. Because, like, the only thing he really had over him was Padme.
That is true, yeah.
Palpatine knew he was weaker. Palpatine knew he was weaker than Luke. Like, literally, when Luke comes towards, like, to face him, he's literally at, like... He's only just made his own lightsaber.
Oh, yes.
You know, like, Luke's only just got his green lightsaber. He's technically a full-formed Jedi, but he's not really. He's not what he could become.
No.
And he's... You know... He takes on 2 Sith. One of them being the most powerful Force user the world's ever seen.
Yes. Well,
and,
the galaxy.
Yeah. And he's winning until he literally chooses not to.
Yeah.
He turns off his weapon. And that's when Palpatine strikes. He doesn't strike when Luke could defend himself, because Palpatine's weaker than Luke. So how the fuck did Palpatine's granddaughter magically become the strongest ever?
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make fucking sense. Man.
And then she tries to take the name of like Skywalker at the end.
Oh, we're using our fake names.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. I did enjoy that one.
It's true though. I think my favorite meme is the one where it's like, I am Ray Skywalker. Identity theft is a real problem that happens to thousands of Americans every year.
That's amazing. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, it's Dwayne from The Office.
Yes, that makes more sense. It's gold.
Dwayne? Dwight from The Office.
I figured you meant Dwight.
Yeah.
I just also forgot.
I actually haven't seen The Office. I've never watched it.
No, they're right. I've seen clips from it. That's about it.
Yeah.
And they do have some funny clips.
I just never got into it. I think I watched like 2 or 3 episodes. Now, these might have been particularly boring episodes. I wouldn't put it past.
I mean, I have the same issue with a lot of stuff. I see it online and just see clips of it, and they're hilarious. So I go to start watching it, and then I can never get into it because the series as a whole, not great. Has some really funny points though.
Well, I think The Office is fine. I've just never started watching it from the beginning. Like, I've come in when other people are watching it and been like, oh, this, I don't really get it. Because I believe it's one of those shows you kind of have to watch from the beginning to get the interpersonal relationships.
Actually, I should say, I have seen a couple of episodes, and the few that I have watched, I'm like,
From what I know about it, it's something that I believe I would truly enjoy if I actually sat down and started watching it from the beginning.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever started from the beginning either. But
Right.
Yeah.
So, moving on. I've recently found a YouTube channel that I can't remember the name of right now.
Okay.
It's the one I literally showed you. It's a board game channel.
I was reading the name.
No roll bar. No rolls barred.
That's the one.
No rolls barred. Fucking great YouTube channel. If you're into board games, I highly suggest it. They have a whole communist monopoly that is brilliant.
Hilarious.
But they also did a Guess Who's game. Like, this was one of the early ones. They also did a Operation game where they actually were zapping each other, and I was like,
Perfect.
I would like something like that. I reckon we could do something like that. They also did a Candyland game where they had to guess what colour was going to come up. If they guessed correctly, they would move there. If they guessed wrong, they would have to do a shot.
Oh, that sounds good.
They only guessed right like twice. They drank a litre of liquor in about 40 minutes.
Solid.
Between 2 of them.
Perfect.
So I was like, oh, that's very funny.
It is, yes.
But yeah, no, they did this Guess Who game. But it was Guess Who where you could only go on vibes that their character... And I remembered our game of Guess Who, sort of, that we played at your place.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
It's not Guess Who, but it is Guess Who.
It's practically that with a different name. We're not going to say it.
Very Australianised.
Yes.
And just the questions that they were asking me reminded me so much of when we were playing that because of the rules that we had established for that game.
Yeah. Because we had house rules, and we basically decided we are not going to just ask the general questions of are they male, are they female?
We weren't allowed to ask any questions like that.
Because I remembered watching a video where someone's just on the first turn. It's like, does your character look like they work at Subway? And there was only one character that looked like they worked at Subway, and that was the one that was there. And I thought that was hilarious. And when we started playing it, that's the type of questions we had to ask.
So that was the house rules. Now, I just remembered my game against fucking Jonathan. Now, if you've watched the channel, you know how annoyed I get at Jonathan. Because he's what I like to call classic Rockhampton. He's not very bright, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
Probably worse than that, he actually thinks he's very smart.
It's also true.
Now, usually I wouldn't diminish him like that, but the reason I have to do it now...
It's because when you asked the whole Jesus thing?
Because I asked him. I literally asked him, do I look like a Jesus-looking motherfucker?
That was the words.
And he went... Sorry, do you look like a Jesus-looking motherfucker? He went, yes. Right, I put down all but one. Because this one character fucking looked like Jesus.
Oh, the depiction we're used to.
Oh, yeah.
And his character had dreadlocks.
Yeah. His character looked nothing like Jesus, but he went, yeah, there's a Jesus. And I went, bang. And everyone who saw my question was like, you got him. And then they went, oh.
You don't have him. You really don't.
And I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
As soon
He's
as
like,
he guessed,
look. And I'm like, that looks nothing like Jesus.
Yeah, because I think everyone happened to be sitting across from the table from Jonathan as well, and we all agreed, it's like, you got him. This is it. Got him. And then he said no when you guessed it, and we're like, what? And then everyone walked around the other side, except for Darcy, of course. He was still playing the game. And we just like, what the fuck are you on about? That is not a Jesus-looking motherfucker. Where did you get that idea?
No, it looks just like Jesus. And then, like, literally we're like, this is the Jesus look. There's no question. This is the Jesus-looking motherfucker.
Yes.
Oh, well, this guy's got long hair, too. Like, he's got fucking dreadlocks!
Yes. But there's only one downside to playing it that way.
Yeah.
Is each person's judgment on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Specific
And that's the same thing that they had issues with their home rule version of Guess Who. Because one of the questions they asked was, is this person's dad proud of them?
We asked very similar questions to that.
Exactly.
And the thing is, by the end of it, you have no idea which one it was.
Oh, yeah.
So you've actually got to restart the whole thing. So there was actually multiple times we were just like, this game has ended. No one has won.
Yeah.
Restart.
But like, yeah, that was kind of it. And theirs was very much the same. And I was just like, I was watching that and I had flashbacks, like Vietnam style. I was just like, Jesus, looking motherfucker.
Oh, it is fun, but oh god, it's
No, I was watching. So I've been watching a lot of their stuff because it is a really. If you're into board games like me, I'm very much into board games. Yes. They have a very good channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, here you go, Kris. So I came across two memes while I was scrolling the internet today.
Okay. Yes.
Lesson memes. One of them is absolutely hilarious, and I will show you that in a bit. The other one was just kind of like a thought thing. And when I thought about it and I went, holy shit. This person has blown the mind of everybody who's a bit dumb. Okay? And here is it, almost word for word, because I'm kind of lazy, so I didn't write it all down.
You're paraphrasing. Yes.
I'm paraphrasing. So, there is more hydrogen atoms in a molecule of water than there are stars in the solar system.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I read that and, like, I went, oh, yeah. And I went, oh, that's... Yeah. I get this. This is to blow the minds of the sort of dumb. Oh. Because in our solar system, there is only one star.
Literally only one.
In the Milky Way galaxy, there are billions of stars.
Yes.
In the whole universe as a whole, there are many, many billions of stars. However, each star is speculated to have its own solar system where there would be a limited number of stars.
Yes.
We do know there are some solar systems that have twin stars and stuff like that, but most of the time it's one. Yes. And if you know anything about a molecule of water, you'll know there are two hydrogen atoms in it. H2O. Yep. So I read that and I was like, I see what you did there. Yeah. You called out everyone who goes, that's not true, there's only two.
So yes, but there's only one in the solar system, motherfucker.
Exactly. I'm like, it's one of those things where if you read it wrong, you go, that's not true. There's heaps of stars out there.
Because
it's like, no, in the solar system, our solar system to be exact. I really like that. I was just that's good. The other one is a cow related one.
Okay.
Very, very funny.
Okay.
But it's pretty much, it all starts with someone asking, do cows have different accents?
Okay.
Yeah. So I will show you that one, and it's quite funny. I might put a picture of it up here because it is very funny.
Yes.
But I don't want to say that one because the pictures just
you gotta read it.
Yeah.
Read and look at it.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's funny.
Well, we're just about done.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
If you noticed, I've been drinking Coke Zero Sugar this entire time.
You have.
And I want to give you a life hack. Everyone out there.
Yes.
Right? What is the healthiest drink you can drink?
Never thought about it.
It's not a trick question.
I'm aware it's not a trick question.
What is the healthiest drink you can drink?
Wouldn't that half depend on where you are? I tend to just drink water for the most part.
It's water.
It's water. But wouldn't that just depend on where you are?
Not really, because unless your water's contaminated, the water itself isn't unhealthy. It's the contaminants that are bad.
Well, yeah, true. Okay, fair enough.
Yes, drinking water will actually extend your life. Because if you don't drink water, you will die.
That's very true, yes.
Water. You can drink a lot of it, provided you don't drink too much of it. Then you run into a whole other thing where you actually drown because of all the water that you've drunk. Yeah. Very bad. And then you've got the fact that it has no calories. So drink as much of it you want. It won't do anything. You're not going to gain weight. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Right? Water. Very healthy.
Yes.
Drink more of it. I saw a spider.
Oh.
Running into your bag.
Cool.
It was either that or a mosquito. Either way, it's going to be annoying. So, taking that and only looking at like a trying to lose weight kind of thing, water's great for you because it has no calories.
True.
Do you know what else has no calories?
Apparently that, I assume.
Coke Zero. Coke Zero has no calories.
Oh.
But you know what else has no calories?
Nothing?
Vodka.
Oh, yes, yeah, I've heard that.
So if you
By the way, when I said nothing, I didn't mean nothing else. I meant absolutely nothing. Like having nothing.
But this is my life hack for you. Ready? If you don't want to drink water, but you want to be healthy, what you can drink instead is vodka and Coke Zero. Just as healthy as water.
Well,
and that's science.
Yeah, on a technicality, yes.
They both have no calories.
On the calorie side, yes. On the other side of it,
no calories. They both have no calories. Dr. Darcy says drink as much vodka and Coke Zero as you like, but it must be Coke Zero or a diet Coke or a diet soft drink of some sort. It's got to have no calories. If it has calories, it's not healthy for you. But yeah, most spirits don't have any calories.
I was aware of that.
Yeah,
I was aware of that. But
technically speaking, it doesn't have to be vodka and Coke Zero, but I would suggest vodka and Coke Zero.
Okay.
Just because it's probably a lot easier to drink a lot of than,
true.
Rum.
I mean, yeah, true. Would rum be?
I don't know.
I don't think rum would be.
Calorie free?
Yeah.
When next time I'm at your place, I'll check Jordan's rum supply.
We'll have to
see if he has any that are calorie free.
We will look at it.
But yeah, no. Because I was watching it like exercise.
Because I doubt wine would be calorie free.
No, wine and beer and that kind of stuff are not.
Yeah, okay.
They have calories in them, but spirits.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Spirits don't. Because as I said, I was watching something. I was watching this kind of sports muscle channel.
Okay. Yes.
Talking about like how you can lose weight and gain muscle and all that kind of stuff because I want to lose a bit of weight. And gain a bit of muscle.
Be nice.
But he was like talking about like, can you drink and stuff when you're trying to lose weight?
Yes.
And he's like, well, beer and wine and stuff aren't great because they're full of calories. calories.
Yeah, I mean, you still can, but you got to work harder to get rid of it.
It's the problem that people run into is the fact you don't realize how much harder you have to. Like, everyone always says that.
Amount. Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat this pizza. I'll just work harder to burn off the calories. And it's like, no, I don't think you realize to burn off the calories for that pizza is like an 8K run.
Oh yeah, no. So I've watched another. I doubt it's the same channel. Probably not the same channel.
I'll show you.
But there's this one guy. He goes on the track of just because he tracks what his calories, all that sort of stuff. So if he eats a pizza one day, he cuts out on other days. So the weekly side of things evens out a bit more, which like you've still got to work to get rid of it, but it evens out a bit more because you're taking it out of other days because you had your cheat day, basically.
The best
way
to go about it, because technically speaking, you still need your calories for the day to be able to get. Anyway, I'll show you this. Because I think that you might enjoy it. But anyway, he was talking about it's like beer, wine, that kind of stuff's not great if you're trying to lose weight because it's full of calories and they're empty calories. Empty calories, of course, being calories you get without being filled.
Yes.
But he went, there's some tricks you can use. He went, first of all, go out on an empty stomach.
I do that quite a lot, yes.
The reason is, he went, and this sounds counterproductive because everyone will tell you eat food before you go out drinking because then you're not going to be as, horribly hit by the alcohol. He goes, but if your plan is to go out and you want to get into a party mood, not having anything in your stomach
will get you there quicker.
Will help you get there quicker.
It is
which
true.
means you have to consume less.
That is true, yeah.
And if you consume a spirit that has no calories with a soft drink that has no calories, at least on the caloric intake, you're not adding anything you can't have.
That's true.
Because the next part is all about willpower.
Yes.
Because you have to stop at the right place.
That is true.
Yes, and when you're getting drunk, there's different levels. There's the level where you're like, okay, I'm not feeling anything. Then there's the level where you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel it. Then there's the level where you're in the flow of things and you're having a good time.
Yep.
Then there's drunk. Then there's throwing up on everyone and picking fights with everyone. And then there's going to the hospital.
Yes.
And he said, and where you should actually aim to be, and where everyone who drinks should aim to be, is in the flow of things.
Yes.
Having a good time, being there. He goes, and that's not going to take a lot of alcohol to get there. He goes, but that's where the willpower comes in for two reasons. One, stopping there.
Stopping or slowing down, like spacing it right out.
Stopping there and then maintaining there.
Yeah, that's what I meant by slowing down.
But he's like, when he talks about it, he goes like, maintaining's not really an issue because here's a good hint for you. If you stop enjoying the party, don't continue to drink to try and liven up the party's done.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It has run its course. So once you get to the mix, you just kind of start drinking water, starting a good time. You're already there.
Yeah,
right?
true.
And when you're no longer there, maybe one or two drinks to maintain it as the night goes on. But if it gets to the point where you think you've got to drink a lot more to get back to that point, it's time to call it a night.
No, I can agree.
Home you go.
I can definitely agree with that because I tend to do that as well. I just leave.
The other, both you and Jordan, I'll talk to you about
Jordan
that
had work in the morning.
Yeah, but still.
I told you so I was leaving.
Yeah, but still, I was really shocked by Jordan because he literally just got a drink. And then he just stood up and walked out. Didn't even say anything to anyone.
Could have sworn he said he was going.
No, he just got up. He literally got up and left, and because I was sitting right behind him. And I jumped into his seat and was like, what the fuck was that about? Because he, stormed out of the place.
Oh, shit.
And I was just like, he got up and just
maybe I didn't pay enough attention to that.
And I was like...
I know he left.
Because I literally looked at Jamie and went, what the fuck's that? I'm like, is he gone? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, he literally just got this full drink. And I was like, he literally just bought it.
Oh, that's right. And then one of you started drinking it.
I started drinking
it. Well, yes. That's right, yes.
I didn't like it. It was rum.
It was and it was funny.
But anyway, so yeah, and then the other part of the willpower is when you are in the flow and having a good time, don't go and eat a kebab.
Oh, yes. That's fair.
And, a billion chips. Because that's what I did on Friday night.
Yeah.
I went to the kebab shop.
Yes.
And I ordered a kebab. But I also ordered some chips with gravy.
Of course.
And I ate my chips with gravy because I love chips with gravy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's nice. And I got my kebab and I ate a bit of it and I went, oh, fuck, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
And I felt that kebab for the next 2 days because it was really not a good idea to have a kebab. Yeah. I should have just stopped at the chips and gravy.
You gotta pick the right places for a kebab.
Yeah. Look,
I still rarely have them, but you gotta.
Well, I'm a big fan of the kebab, but yeah, the late night, right next to the club kebab,
it's generally not the best.
Not a good thing.
It's just the
only if you're drunk, if you are pass out drunk like half the people we saw, maybe that grease will help you. But for me, it was just kind of oh no.
Probably should have gone the other way and grabbed Subway.
I shouldn't have grabbed anything. I should have just had my chips and gravy and been happy.
You should have, yes.
But yeah, so yeah, I like that. That's where I got my new life hack from, which is that I can drink as much vodka and Coke Zero as I want, and there's nothing you can do to stop me because it's healthy.
It's true. The point where you just pass out drunk, that's you, not me.
That's a hell of a point.
It is a hell of a point. It really is.
As someone who has literally drunk 6 bottles of vodka in a night,
it's a hell of a point. Oh, yes.
I don't recommend it.
See, I've never done it, but because I know how just mixing with vodka is, and it just a lot of things just go down so easily. Because
it's generally just me and alcohol.
When you put, well, true, yes, but when you put any sort of carbonated drink with alcohol, it tends to lose its carbonation, so it just goes down so much smoother, but it's the same taste.
And you know what else? And it's super dangerous about mixing carbonated drinks with alcohol, because back in the day, it was all sugary drinks.
True.
That motherfucker keeps you going.
That is true.
For way longer than you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I my superpower with alcohol is that I've had so many people be like, "Oh, what are you drinking?" And I'm like, "I'm drinking a beer." And they're like, "Okay." No, they'll get me a beer. I'm like, "Okay." And then 5 minutes later, "What? I thought you were drinking beer." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, now I'm drinking vodka. Mm-hmm. Now I'm drinking whiskey. Now I'm drinking." And they're like, "You shouldn't mix drinks." I'm like,
"See, I'm
fine.
See, I can mix drinks fine as well, so I'm fine on that aspect."
I'm like, literally, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, if you mix drinks, you're gonna have a bad night." I'm like,
I don't think you understand. That's not how this works.
But I'm not mixing drinks. I'm drinking alcohol.
That's it. That is literally because that's how I think about it as well. I will chop and change as I go, as I see fit, because I want that drink now.
Obviously, some people will be like, "You shouldn't mix beer and spirits." I'm like, it's exactly what you should do.
Yeah.
In fact, most places that you go to, if you go to a whiskey bar,
yes,
they give you a whiskey, and they give you a thing called a chaser.
That is true.
Because you're not supposed to just fucking drink whiskey all night.
It is true, yes.
But that's what people here don't understand.
Yeah, especially that bartender who gave me a chaser after it was a nice aged whiskey. The chaser was vodka.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know, there was nothing wrong with it, but it was just a sudden hit of... And they weren't in shot glasses. They definitely weren't.
No, but again, you're not really supposed to... You're supposed to drink whiskey from tumblers.
It is true.
Or a whiskey glass, if you would.
She did put it in a tumbler. But it was definitely more than a shot's worth, and I was paying for a shot.
Well, yeah,
but I got But in that one hit, I got
that's what I've always said.
I got 4 shots worth. We paid once.
One time
it was great.
One time when I was living in Sydney, we went to a whiskey establishment.
Yes.
I guess technically you'd call it a whiskey bar, but it was very fancy, and we got to sit in fucking massive winged back chairs. Ooh. And they bring you a cup of whiskey.
Yeah.
It's not a shot of whiskey. It's a whiskey glass filled about yay high,
which makes sense.
You're just drinking whiskey,
and that's when
it's very nice whiskey.
And that's where if you would put anything in it to cool it down instead of ice, it would be like a rock or a metal cube.
Yeah, I think they were using ice, but it was for a reason.
Yeah,
because it was natural spring water ice or some shit
Oh,
like that.
okay,
You know,
yeah,
stuff you pay more money for.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because as it melts, it helps activate the whiskey or some fucking shit like that.
Fair enough.
We didn't care. We weren't letting it melt.
Oh, yeah, I do the same thing.
No, anyway, so they brought out that, and then they bring out your chaser that's paired with your whiskey or whatever, as you do. Now, am I saying that these people know what they're talking about? No. Because I'm pretty sure they could have given me anything after the whiskey, and I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have changed how the whiskey tasted.
No.
However, I will say this about Rockhampton. Rockhampton doesn't have establishments like that.
No.
You're not going into a place and being like, can I have a whiskey on the rocks, please? Because I want it to be classy. And can you give me a chaser? Because the person at the bar's like, I can mix it with Coke for you.
So, no.
It's like, no, I just want a straight whiskey, thank you. What?
Oh, yeah, they're looking funny. But you can do it. You can.
Yeah, well, of
it's
course
just no one does.
No, because that's...
Okay.
The unfortunate... It's Rockhampton. The unfortunate thing about that, and same with gin bars and stuff like that, lots of places I've been, because I lived in the city, and I knew fancy people who liked going out and being like, yeah, I know it's $25 for a fucking tiny thing of gin, but it's really good gin. And I'm like, I don't like gin. Okay.
Sure, whatever.
But, you know, you go to Rockhampton, it's like, oh, what do the people here drink? I drink fucking beer and Bundy.
It's actually the main thing.
Have you ever heard of this?
It's actually
this cocktail. Cocktails are for girls. No, a cocktail is just any mixed spirit. Technically, your rum and coke is a cocktail. It's what is rum and coke called?
Actually, I don't know. But yes, you are right. In
Emu.
Fuck, what?
I wanted to write rum, but I wrote emu.
Well, okay, fair enough. But yes, no. Here it is generally just, well, it's rum and coke, beer, or tends to be like mid to lower range whiskies is what people tend to drink from what I've seen, and it's like I don't.
Cuba Libre.
There you go.
It is a Cuba Libre.
That actually makes sense, yeah. But it's...
Yeah, does that mean...
It doesn't tend to be...
It does mean free Cuba. Anyway, yeah, no. Because that's the thing. Like, I've had conversations with people who only drink rum and coke, and you're like, yeah, but it's a cocktail. No, it's a rum and coke.
Which is a cocktail.
Which makes it a cocktail.
Yes.
Now that I know, that I remembered it's a Cuba Libre, or a free Cuba. The most socialist of drinks.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'm going to use that on Jordan next time I see him drinking a rum and coke. Oh, socialist, I see. What? Free Cuba.
What? And then say the actual name, Cuba Libre, which will confuse me even more.
That's what I mean. People are like, it's just the Rockhamptonness of it all.
Yeah.
You're drinking a cocktail. No, I'm not. I'm drinking a rum and coke. Cocktail is what girls drink. No, a cocktail is whatever you call something that's a mixed drink.
Yes. It's a cocktail.
It's a cocktail.
Yeah. I don't
do
know.
You like cock? Yes, you do, because you only drink it.
Look, that's probably the mindset of half of them. So I don't drink cocktails. I don't like cock.
I'm a man. I drink a rum and coke.
It's a cocktail. Yep. Unless you're going,
fuck you.
Rum on the rocks, whiskey on the rocks, scotch on the rocks. Doesn't fucking matter. That's the only way it's not a cocktail.
Yeah, but they don't do that. And why don't they do that?
Because they've got no class.
Because they don't like the taste.
That is true.
Drink rum straight. No, that's pussy. You mix it with coke.
Actually, there was a really nice rum I had straight once.
As opposed to all the gay rums you've had.
Fair point.
I'm just asking.
No, it was at the rum factory, and it was like one of the more expensive ones, but we got free taste.
Hey, come on down to the rum factory.
Like, Dad had a small sip of it, and he's like, actually, I'm going to go back and get him to see if I can get them to mix a bit of coke with it. And I just downed it. I'm like, that actually was nice. That was the nicer ones out of the lot.
Hey, no, me, I fucking drink fucking shit straight all the time.
Yeah.
It's one of my worst fucking facts.
True.
Because I'm just like, you know what? Yeah.
Or the good old one, and so you go to make your own cocktail, and you're just like, yeah, pour that in. It's like, hey, I didn't mix that.
So I've never done that. I've just been like,
I have.
I've just been like, you know what? And everyone's like, oh, Darcy, you gonna come drink with us? I'm like, I've only got a bowl of scotch. And they're like, oh, that's okay, you can use some of our mixes. I'm like, no, just drink scotch.
Yeah.
And then I just like stand there with a bowl. Very classy. I just stood there with a bowl of fucking Johnny Walker Double Black being like, this is good. So, like, are you just swinging out of the bottle? I'm like,
yes.
Yes. Is that not classy enough?
Is that not classy enough for you?
Like, you guys are. We're drinking beers. La-di-da.
Drinking straight from the bottle too. Thank you very much.
I wish it had been chilled. That is my only thing.
Oh, that's
warm scotch isn't nice.
Look, most
Warm drinks aren't nice.
Most warm spirits are not good. You've got to have them chilled.
Tastes just like 16-year-old vomit.
Yes, you've got to chill them. If you don't, they're horrible.
Well, anyway, guys, I think we've made it to the end of another podcast.
Yes.
We've kind of devolved into lunacy here.
We have.
Thank you for joining us. If you like the video, please like, share, comment, subscribe if you can find it within your heart. Yes. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. I've been Darcy. Here's Kris.
Yeah.
Use my life hack if you actually want to hack years off your life.
Oh yes. It's a bad idea.
It's good. What have you got to live for? Inflation?
Oh, fair point.
Okay, guys. See you later.
See ya.
Whoa.
What, you get blown out?
No. I think I got something in my eye because that light there is fucking pixelated.
Oh, yeah, you got something in your eye.
Yeah, I know.
You definitely do.
When I say it's pixelated, I don't mean like, oh, it looks like... No, there's like a pixel above it and to the side of it and underneath it. I was like, oh, that's a bit weird.
Just a tad.
Okay, it's all good again.
Okay, sweet.
Fuck me. Oh no, my very non-pixel light is pixelated. Fuck. Okay, let's do this.
Oh shit, okay.
Right.
And the back up.
There we go. I think we need a little bit more forward light here, Kris.
Hmm?
Oh, let's boost excuse you.
Calm down. Stop it. No.
What are we playing at here? It's fucking that. No, now it's too bright. I've got a nice cool 24. Hello everybody, my name is Darcy and it's, as always, joined by Kris.
Yes.
Forgot your name for a second there.
Briefly.
It was a good time.